Hi, Kathy from ALECC, and coming to you from our ALECC YouTube channel. Today I wanted to speak to you about caregivers and compassion for caregivers, especially caregivers who've been at it for a very long time. You know, we have some of those diagnoses with Alzheimer's and dementia, patients that have been at that for 10 years, and you've had family members who have taken care of patients for a long time. And this is an area not with Alzheimer dementia, but was born a caregiver. As I said, I was shortly after I was born as a child, my mother was diagnosed with a crippling disease, rheumatoid arthritis, long time ago, and I used to have to take care of her. I took care of her for many years as a child, up into my early 20s when she passed away. She actually passed away from rheumatoid arthritis, but my days were planned out very much from the time I woke up in the morning till I went to bed in the evening with taking care of my mom. I was responsible for, all of her activities of daily living, as we call them these days. And anyway, it was a lot as a child, but I knew nothing different. But I do remember that after she passed away, it took a long time for me. Again, in my early 20s, I was going to college at the time, but it took a long time for me to even understand what to do with myself. I was so used to having so much of my time relegated to caregiving that even when, all of us, I had a dad and a brother, we would be standing at a car, because back then, you would assemble wheelchairs, nothing like we have now, but we would, if we wanted to go somewhere, and we oftentimes didn't go very many places, but on occasion we did, you would assemble a wheelchair, and then you could go into a building after this 15-minute procedure of assembling and getting a very handicapped person into a wheelchair. Now we would get out of a car and stand and look at each other like, what do we do now? Oh, we get to just walk into a building. Just things people don't even think about. Packing up all the supplies for someone that is ill that you have to think about every day, all the medications. Your whole life is just around caregiving. And people have an interesting way of coming up to you and saying things to you. They feel it might be a major relief for you because now you've got freedom and you've got this time on your hands. And sure enough, yes, you do. But when your whole identity has been based around taking care of this individual, listening for every breath sound, every little need, not even identifying your own, it really is quite a transition that one goes through with having to recognize, wow, now what do I do with myself? So I really wanted to talk about this today because I find myself being drawn to working with individuals who have been longtime caregivers and trying to really help them through that grief and what to expect. And especially I find that when they come up to that 1 year mark, it's really quite challenging for them. We always think people can resolve particular grief in a certain particular period of time, and it's not always like that, and it's very different for everybody. But I always tend to focus very much on individuals and give them extra time and attention, and especially if they have been caregivers for a long period of time. It's a really challenging situation. So I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention today because we're going to be going into hospice month here pretty soon in November. And I know that we do a lot of bereavement risk assessments. And I also, when I sit in on IDG and IDT with people, I always want to make sure that we are not, people always say, I'm fine, I'll be okay. it's important to keep checking in on folks and really, if I could get that message across, to make sure to always double check, especially as we're nearing that 1 year mark on your longtime caregivers, and see how they've adjusted, see if they've developed any, out of the ordinary, not best habits, as they've tried to adjust to their grief, because it is always challenging. I always say to folks, there are things that, as a child being a caregiver, I spent so much time alone in my room. I had to learn to entertain myself. I had to be at home because I had to always be close by my mom, nice and handy in case she needed something. And here I am, a grown woman all these years later, and the place that I spend my most time is quietly by myself in my room and entertaining myself. And that is something I learned as a caregiver all these years later. Some things just never leave us. So again, just a shout out, extra compassion for our caregivers, and I just wanted to make sure I shared that story with you all. Again, thank you very much for all the hard work that you do. It doesn't go unnoticed, and again, all the making the difference that you do as well too. Please make sure you subscribe and tune in to our channel. We have weekly uploads, and next month is Hospice Month. We look forward to talking about that as well. Take care now. Bye-bye.